Hello everyone and welcome to Station 11, Andrew Jackson's Presidency. The keywords here are going to be Trail of Tears, Worcester versus Georgia, Osceola, and Second Bank of the United States. Okay, let's get started on Old Hickory's presidency. Okay, first thing we need to know is this idea of Indian removal. Okay, Indian removal is the concept that different governments try to move Native Americans to the west, so that the new settlers, the new white settlers, can take control of the land for their own profit reasons. Okay, it all starts out, or the big Indian removal starts off with this court case called Worcester versus Georgia. Okay, Worcester versus Georgia. This was a case where some settlers found out that there was gold on the Cherokee land, so the settlers moved in to kind of find this gold, but really gold was just a reason for them to show up. They wanted to do other things with the land as well. So the representative for the Native Americans, Worcester, or for the Cherokee, Worcester goes up against the state of Georgia. Georgia says that they have the right to push the Cherokee Indians off the land. Worcester says they do not have the right to do that. So we go back to John Marshall. John Marshall is one of the most famous Supreme Court judges in history. John Marshall surprisingly rules in favor of the Cherokee Indians. John Marshall says you can't push Cherokee Indians off their land just because you want it. Cherokees have established ownership, and then they own that land. Okay, so surprisingly, the Supreme Court disagrees with Indian removal. They do not agree with Indian removal, but the state of Georgia does so anyway. And what happens is it begins the Trail of Tears. Okay. The Trail of Tears is a specific one that actually goes from, there's actually one specific trail that goes from Georgia towards the west here in Oklahoma, but this map is showing the different locations that natives were sent to first before they started their marches. So the Trail of Tears was this big, long trail that Native Americans had to walk on. They were forced to keep walking, oftentimes starving to death, sicknesses, just absolute horrid stuff. So Trail of Tears is when the government forced Native Americans to move from their land here in northern Georgia and in the south here, all the way to Oklahoma and over here in this area. Okay, so pretty horrible stuff. The only people who really benefited from the Trail of Tears were the farmers. That were able to move into this northern Georgia area and begin to cultivate millions of acres of Indian land. Okay, so after they got done in Georgia, they wanted to try this Indian removal in other places. So the government went down to Florida. Okay, the government went down to Florida, and the government fought against the Seminoles, the Seminole Indians, in the Second Seminole War. The leader of the Seminoles was this guy named Osceola. Okay, Osceola was a very fierce warrior, and still the Seminoles to this day are called the unconquered people. Okay, Seminole Indians never were forced to relocate, partially because of this guy's leadership. Osceola is a very famous person from military history. In fact, he is the only Native American to ever be given a formal military burial with a 20-gun salute. Okay, so all this stuff going on. This stuff is really what people remember about Andrew Jackson's presidency, is all this removing Indians and moving them to the west stuff. But that never happened to Osceola. Okay, so Andrew Jackson was also really against banks. Andrew Jackson thought that the government didn't have enough power to be able to make a bank, and he actually thought that it was wrong for the government to be able to do that. So Andrew Jackson thought that banks were a really bad idea, okay? Because he thought that it was too much power by the government. Alright, so that is Andrew Jackson's presidency in less than 6 minutes. Make sure you go down to the description and watch the bonus video to go along with this. And thank you.